All right, good morning. Welcome back. We're going to be looking at final exam prep for college algebra. We're going to be looking at problem number 5 here. So we've got a function that talks about how much power is produced between midnight and noon. H is the hour of the day, at what time, and then we'll go through that. I'm going to make the assumption that when they meet hour 0, right, is the midnight hour, and then 12 would be noon, so we can go from 0 to 11 or 0 to 12. Okay, and work on it that way. Okay, so let's go ahead and write this down. So this is h squared minus 12h. So let's see here. We've got p of x is equal to h squared minus 12h plus 210. Okay, so let's see what we have here. I get the right one? Sure did. Okay. So what's the first thing they ask here is, what time does minimum power production happen? So notice that my h here is positive, right? We have a positive thing. So when I go to graph this parabola, right, we're going to be getting something like that. Okay, that would be 210 somewhere in here. Okay, and that's actually, it's probably going to be up here. Okay, I don't think we're going to be producing negative power anytime soon. Okay, so when we go ahead and graph this thing, it's probably going to look something like this. So we're looking for like what the minimum is. Okay. One thing we should do is probably check our endpoints just in case. Okay. So yeah, you have to memorize this formula or you have to write it down on your card, but it's going to be at the vertex, right? The minimum is going to be at the vertex. So let's go ahead and have a look at that. So we're going to have the vertex is when h is equal to negative b over 2a. All right. I'm sorry you have to memorize this formula, but it's the way it is. Okay. So we're going to say negative 12 over 2, and a is 1. So that's at least somewhat there. So we have 12 over 2, which is 6. So our minimum power is in hour 6. Which I think is going to be 6 a.m. All right, that's when our minimum power is produced. It might be 5 a.m. No, 7 a.m. because of the +1 shift going from 0. But let's not overthink it. All right, and then, so what time is in hour 6? What is the minimum power production? Okay, what is the power production? All right. What we're going to do is we're just going to plug 6 into this formula and see what we get. So p of 6 is equal to 6 squared minus 12 times 6 plus 210. Okay, so what's that going to give us? I'm going to be lazy and do this. So we've got 6 squared. Oh, let's turn on. 6 squared minus 12 times 6 plus 210 equals 174. Just make a little check of checking your endpoints. 0 minus 12 times 0 plus 210. So this is 210. So at the 0, at the end point, right, we're at 210, and then at hour 6, we're at 174. So this is actually the minimum. So we'll go ahead and have that in there. All right. So this is, what is this, in watts or something? Megawatts? All right. Megawatts. Okay, very good. And then during what hours is the power production equal to 187? Okay, so when is it going to be? 187. P of h equals 187. So we're going to have h squared minus 12 h's plus 210 equals 187 here. Okay. Now, what we have to do first is subtract the 187. So we have h squared minus 12h. And then again, I'm going to be extraordinarily lazy about this and say 210 minus 187. 87, 23, of course it is. Plus 23 is equal to 0. Okay, now I don't know too many factors of 23. That seems kind of like a prime number to me. So I don't think there's anything I could do to like factor this and get an answer here. So I'm kind of left with the idea of if only there was some kind of a formula we could use to help us solve quadratics, what would that be? Oh, wait, this one. Right, quadratic formula. Again, formula you're supposed to just know. Okay, so the right-hand side has to be 0, right? And then we're just going to plug these things in and get an answer for us. All right, so let's see here. We are going to have negative b, so that's going to be negative 12, positive 12, plus or minus the square root, negative 12 squared. If you don't write the negative, it's not going to matter, because if you do this and you say negative 12 squared, it's going to tell you 144, negative 144 rather. But you're smarter than your calculator. So what I want you to do is realize that that's going to be positive regardless of what you put in there. 4, a is 1, b is 23. Okay. All over 2. All over 2. Okay, so what we're going to have here, we're going to have h is equal to 12 plus or minus the square root of 144 minus 4 times 23. It's less than 100. Okay, 92 divided by 2. What is 44? 144 minus 92. 144. Yeah, I'm really lazy today. 144 minus 92 equals, and we get 52 here. So this is 12 plus or minus square root of 52, all divided by 2. Now, 52, I know there's 52 cards in a deck of cards, right? There's 4 suits at 13 cards per suit. So this is really 4 times 13 here, okay? So we have 12 plus or minus the square root of 4 times the square root of 13 over 2. And the square root of 4 is 2. So this is 12 plus or minus 2 root 13 all over 2. So we're going to say this is going to be 2 times 6 plus or minus root 13 all over 2. Right, factor 2 out of both of those. That cancels. And our values are either h plus root 13 or h minus, or 6 minus root 13. 6 plus minus. So that I think we have to use a calculator for. So we're going to 6 minus root 13. So square root 13 between 3 and 4. So this is 2.39. All right. And then we'll go ahead and say 6 plus root 13. Oops, how about 6? 6 plus square root 13. It's going to get 8 point something, I think. 9.6 sounds good. H equals 9.6. What was it? 6.1. Okay. Okay, so either 2 o'clock in the morning or about 9 o'clock in the morning. All right, so those are going to be our answers. Again, I would have written this problem a little bit nicer so that you would know like midnight is 0 and then go from there. Actually, that makes sense. Yeah, 1 o'clock would be 1, 2 o'clock would be 2, etc. So our times are good. Okay. So that's how you do something like that. Yeah, and the problem I wrote for you in the final might be numerically a little bit more complicated, but overall pretty much the same kind of a problem, and you should be able to deal with that. Okay, so I will see you in a little bit for the next one. That was problem number 5.